Hi, folks. My name is Oscar Sisk. I'm going to be starting a series of these videos. This is the first one. Kind of the Bible for atheists, because atheists don't much read the Bible, and it's an important book to read, but not to believe, but to read. It's rich with all kinds of stuff. We're going to get into that later. But I want to first address in this first one the idea of believing the Bible. And so therefore I'm going to take a piece of that, which is, what is belief? I believe we're hardwired to believe. Our brain is set up to believe. We have to believe that when mom tells us, don't touch the stove, it's hot, you'll get hurt, that we believe that. We have to believe that the red berries that the scoutmaster said are poison and they'll make you sick. You have to believe that the people across the hill will hurt you if you get in their garden. You have to believe lots of things that are it's survival dependent. That's why I think we're hardwired to believe. And you can even see this in the animal kingdom, how animals pay attention to adults and assume beliefs about things. The beliefs can be true or they can be made up, fake. The problem with believing the Bible or believing anything is when people in authority manipulate your beliefs. Now, an example of a good manipulation is a child losing a tooth. The pain, the fear of the pain, the unknown. Lots of times kids, if they know that the tooth fairy is going to reward them for losing their tooth, they're okay with it. They forget their fears and so forth. It's a coincidence. Well, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but it just so happens people lose their faith in the tooth fairy about the time that all their baby teeth are gone. They sometime about the time they have a full mouth of adult teeth, they don't believe in the tooth fairy anymore. And it's kind of like knowledge wipes out belief in that case, and experience. So lots of times belief can be manipulated, especially if a group of people sweep it up. One of my favorite Bible verses is Paul says, when I was a child, I behaved as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. I kind of think that's true with belief. As we grow in knowledge, as we see how things really work, and experience gives us a background to evaluate beliefs, we discard unuseful beliefs. But sometimes we hang on to them too, especially if the social pressure is to do so. There's in North Korea is a good example of beliefs. Kim Jong Sung, the first in the 1940s, 1950s, the first ruler of modern Korea. His parents were Christians, missionaries, I believe. And so when he wanted to control the people, he set himself up as God. He was not born. He came from heaven. He can control things. And this is passed down to, like even now, Kim Jong-un can control the weather, for instance. The idea of them being born is questionable. I don't know exactly how strongly they believe it, but he came from heaven, is what the national news reports. And he can do all these miraculous things besides controlling the weather. When he went golfing, he had 11 holes in one, for instance. Maybe that's not a miracle, I don't know. But anyway, the analogies that Kim Jong-sung put was that he was God, and his second wife, Kim Jong-suk, was the Holy Ghost, or equivalent of the Holy Ghost, and his offspring are, of course, sons of God. Essentially Jesus, actually, I guess is how you'd put it, with magical powers. One of the escapees from North Korea said that he can read your mind, so you don't dare think of things that are opposing our leader, she said, because he can read your mind, and therefore you think the way he wants you to think. And so we see that as, why would you believe that Kim Jong-un is God? Well, that's what they were taught, and that's exactly what we do when we pick up on Christianity and other religions, any religion. Not that religions are bad. Some Christian, for instance, a lot of Christian behaviors have really benefited society, benefited humanity. But a lot of it hasn't. And most of it depends on who the authority is that is guiding it. Like if you got Jim Jones, for instance, or even some of the things that Billy Graham says were not healthful, were not good. But he also preached peace and love and so forth. He also lied during his, I used to be on one of his crusades. Actually, I was on the San Diego crusade in the, what was that, 60s, early 60s. And then I was on the Tacoma one in, the 80s or so, as a counselor. So I'm familiar with the lies he tells during the sermons, and people don't question it because it's, quote, the Reverend Bell, whatever. So when it comes to belief, it's sort of, people could change their beliefs, but when they refuse to, in the face of real facts, they refuse to change their belief about certain things. People think they can walk through fire if they're believing that strongly enough. I'm trying to think of handling snakes. Because it says in the Bible, and they can believe it. What says in the Bible is true. There's a verse Paul writes about people who can handle snakes without being bit or without being poisoned. Well, people die doing that, and lots of times, like, we think the Bible is all about peace and love. Well, it's sort of. The Bible is not what we think it is. It's lots of writers doing lots of things. It's an encyclopedia of things, not a book that God dictated to man to follow. And people who use the faiths of people, the beliefs of people, to manipulate them, can put whatever they want, such as Donald Trump has been sent by God. And even some say that he may be Jesus himself. In my mind, that's not helpful. Beliefs should, in my opinion, advance us to a better way of thinking, a better way of living, a better way of treating people. And when it doesn't, I don't care how many times you pray, whether you use a rosary, whether the Virgin has appeared to you in a vision or what. If they don't help, they hurt. On the other hand, atheists kind of get a bad rap for dumping on Christians for whatever, for their beliefs. And I can understand that, especially like with the abortion. They believe that that a fertilized egg is a human being, that has a soul in it. And I just, that's a belief. It's not a fact. It's a belief. And I mean, we may find sometime that that belief has some basis for it. Actually, it doesn't. But, and I'm going to get into that later in one of the later series. But anyway, it's a delicate path to criticize someone's belief. Probably be very cautious about criticizing beliefs, but we can't let people manipulate and hurt people with their beliefs. It's just, it's not a humane thing to do. Anyway, I'm going to do some more of these. It's kind of like Christians are invited too. But basically, it's Bible for atheists. So I'll see you next time when I do another one.